Welcome back to Inside the Creator Studio, an origin story podcast about the world's best video content creators. My name is Mo Akif.
And my name is Katie Kane. Today on the podcast, we have Gabi Suarez, better known as Glamgirl Gabi on YouTube. Her channel has 350,000 subscribers, and she shares tips and tricks for makeup and hair, mostly for mature women. We're going to talk to her about growth strategies, becoming your audience, and why you should reconsider making sponsored videos.
This show is brought to you by StreamYard, a browser-based tool that lets you live stream to multiple platforms at the same time and record remote podcasts in studio quality. It's built for creators to make your job way easier, and we actually use it to record this show.
Gabi Suarez, or better known as Glamgirl Gabi on YouTube, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you. We start out with a rapid fire question section. Just have your answers be 3 sentences or less, no pressure, but they are designed to give you short answers. So what's your setup for this call? Your computer, your camera, your mic, your light?
Yeah, so I have a big three words. Okay.
No, 3 sentences. Don't worry.
So like softbox, Canon, Camlink.
There you go. She's like, well, again, you can go as long as you want. We just say it so people don't say a monologue when it's designed to be like short and snappy. It's more for you to like be able to respond in the moment, especially if it's like a question that maybe you contemplated. Like the next one is, what's your number one makeup brand and skincare brand?
Oh, okay. Makeup brand. It's hard because I really like different makeup brands for different reasons. Like there's lots of brands that do different things they serve different purposes. If I could only have one forever, it would probably be e.l.f. Super affordable, really great quality, works for lots of different makeup needs and ages. And then skincare brand, I really love a brand called Calisim. They're from Singapore. It's a dermatological line, and they actually created their line to treat burn victims and burn wounds. And then it became cosmetic later. So they do like top of the line stem cell research. They have stem cells in some of the products. It's like it's phenomenal.
That's so cool. I'll have to check them out. I love skincare. What's one unconventional beauty or skincare tip that you can share?
Something unconventional. Yeah. So I think something that I share with a lot of people when it comes to beauty, it's that beauty is so much about self-expression and about self-love and self-worth. There are really no rules. There are so many artists out there and hairstylists out there that give these like hard and fast rules. Like if you have small eyes, don't line them with black liner. I don't like subscribe to any of that. Like you have to do what makes you feel really beautiful and like your best self. And if that makes you feel good, even if it makes your eyes smaller or whatever, it doesn't matter. Like makeup is self-expression. It's not something so objective. It's subjective. It's an art, and yeah, that's something that I tell people all the time. They say, well, I know I shouldn't do this, but it's like, shouldn't do this isn't a thing. You should do whatever you want to do.
It's true. It's true.
I was watching one of your videos yesterday. I think it was called The Truth About Me. And toward the end, you said you had a message like that. But your delivery and the specific things you said in that video made me tear up a little bit.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah. I love your content. I feel like you're very genuine about making women feel great. And I think it's great in the beauty sphere where, especially on TikTok right now, a lot of people are trying to sell you things, but to have it focused on like the person and their self-expression and feeling good in their skin, I think that's always really, really awesome to see.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I've always said, like my background is I was a television and commercial and fashion editorial makeup artist. And then I went to school and became a licensed hairstylist. And I had so much experience working with so many different women of so many different ages and races and different levels of self-acceptance, right? I think that's an evolution for a lot of people. And I always said that like makeup truly is my superpower. It can be seen as something so vain, but it's so much more than that. It's a way of like decorating yourself and showing yourself some love and expressing yourself to the world in the way that you want. And if you can take control of that, it's literally like having a superpower. It's the best thing ever. I just love it so much.
Yeah, no, that's so awesome. What products are you wearing today?
Okay, so I'm wearing my foundation today is the Armani Luminous Silk. It's amazing. Like a really big, Yeah, it's really big in the industry. People love it. It's got like a sheer coverage. I am wearing a concealer by Maybelline. I'm wearing a really beautiful eyeshadow palette by a company called Florasis. It's an Asian company. They have the most incredible packaging and formulations. I'm wearing a lip liner by Charlotte Tilbury. I'm wearing a lip gloss by Sigma. How much time do you have?
I love it. I'm wearing Charlotte Tilbury too. So I'm like, let's go. Love it.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I love their lip liner. No, that's great. And I am really a huge fan of Korean skincare. So I love that you're highlighting these Asian brands. And now I'm like, ooh, I have to go check them out. Like the Singaporean brand you mentioned. I'm like, oh, another new exciting thing to research. What's your favorite part of posting on YouTube?
Definitely building community. That's been so incredible. My channel isn't massive, but the community in my channel is like insane. There's always the same names. They pop up. I recognize them. They talk to one another in the comment section. And I think that's so cool because they kind of befriend each other. It's a really unbelievably positive community. Some of my team members here on the channel, I have a team, and they'll say like, Gabi, your comments are they're so warm and love. Like somehow I've created this community that's unbelievably positive and uplifting, and everyone's like cheering each other on. And that's like the best. That's literally the best part of everything.
I love that. That's really cool. I feel like Emily said the same thing too about Emily Baker. She said the same thing about her community. Like they're friends, they're debating. And I think that's so important, especially when you're trying to build. And don't minimize your channel, because I'm looking at the number again, 350,000 people are subscribed to you, and you have 46 million views all time on your channel. So that's a big deal.
Thanks.
That's a huge deal.
Yeah,
so that is the end of our rapid fire question section. So Mo, take it away.
Cool. And we're definitely going to come back to ask you about how you built that community. But
yes,
before that, we want to ask you about the story of how you got started. So you touched on it a little bit about like the fact that you went to school for this, you've worked in the industry, but like what I think some people might see on the surface is just someone who loves makeup and then started making YouTube videos, but they don't see like that decade plus long journey that you invested into becoming an expert in this area before starting the channel. So could you tell us the story of that journey?
Yeah, my goodness. So it was quite complex. I went to university for psychology, and I did a specialization in cognitive science. And then I worked in a research lab as a research assistant in the cognition department. And then I just felt like when I was working there, like my soul was draining out of my body, you know, when you're really good at something, but you have like absolutely zero interest in it. That's kind of how I felt with that job. So I decided to kind of leave academia behind. I come from an extremely academic family. My dad is a professor, and I enrolled in a makeup school. I enrolled in a makeup school, but it was like an artistry school. So we learned prosthetics, animatronics, special effects. It really was like heavy makeup, not just like beauty makeup. I did that program for a year. I completely fell in love with it. And then from there, I ended up getting signed to an agency that represented me as an artist. For about 8 years, I worked in television, fashion editorial, commercial. I'm doing things like the shopping channel, TV commercials, some short films. So I did that for a long time. And then I wanted to have a baby, and that job was insane, like really crazy. So I needed something with better hours. So I went to hairdressing school, got licensed as a stylist, and then I started working independently. Actually, after I got my apprenticeship hours, I kind of opened my own little studio. I had my clients, and it was like the perfect way to have a family and still be an artist. So half the week I would work on set when I could, but I had really stable income from being a hairstylist. So this is a long story, but this created like this foundation of knowledge that I have. And I think some people, they get really frustrated with YouTube because the needle isn't moving. But when you are a YouTube content creator, you have to be like a million things. You have to be a producer and a director, and you have to be like a lighting specialist and an audio person, and you have to be all these things. And I think that beginning of my career allowed me to kind of view how everyone else was doing it, right? Like working in TV, I could see how people lit things. Working in fashion editorial, I could see what would read on camera and what wouldn't, because the way that you do makeup for camera is kind of different than real life, actually. And so when you have to make it read like fancy on camera, which is different than in real life. And so it gave me like this huge foundation of skills. Do you want to know how I then got into YouTube?
Please tell us. We've done our research, but for everybody out there, because I wrote up a whole thing, but I think it's such a cool story. So you definitely should share.
Yeah. So then I opened this bridal business where I did makeup and hair for brides. And it was a super prestige, like bougie bridal business. You know, like if you wanted to look like a Hollywood celebrity, you hire my girls, you know, and that business did very well, like very well. We did anywhere from 60 to 100 bridal parties a year. We worked around the clock. I had a pretty big team. And so I ended up doing the makeup for a YouTuber. And so I was doing her makeup, doing her hair, and her husband were chatting. He was actually in the room with us while she was getting ready. They're really like untraditional couple. And she was like, they were talking about like analytics and like data and like keywords. And I'm just doing her hair, right? And then she's like, you should be a YouTuber. And I'm like, no, girl, I'm a behind the scenes type of gal. Like I take care of the talent. I'm not the talent. I'm not like, I don't like that. Like I'm behind the camera. And so she's like, no, you should really do it. Anyway, got her ready for her wedding. Didn't hear from her for about a year. She reached out to me when I actually was on maternity leave with my second baby. And she's like, listen, we're closing the channel down, but we want to start a beauty channel and we want you to be the person that does it. And we'll partner with you and we'll do all the editing, all the SEO, the titles. We'll tell you what topic to film. You film it, send us the raw footage, and then we'll do the rest. So at the time I was like, absolutely not. Like, what? I can't do that, you know? But then I thought, I'm on maternity leave. Like, it might be fun to do something different, you know, in the evenings to kind of like get out of like the baby fog. So she sent me all the lighting equipment. She sent me the mics. She sent me everything. And so I didn't have any expenses. And so we started doing that. And then it's funny because it's like incredibly addictive once you start, like incredibly addictive. So we did that for a few months and then it actually wasn't working out very well because she had a lot going on and like doing all of that for someone's channel is an enormous amount of work, especially because it takes forever to start making money. So she was like, you know, I can't do this. This is too much. And I'm like, I totally get it. We parted ways. But then by that point, I was kind of like hooked. Like I was like, okay, I'm committed now. So I sent back all her stuff, bought all my stuff. And then I had to learn how to do everything, how to edit, how to do everything by myself. And then that's where it started.
See, that's so funny because obviously, like we did read about all of this, but that lapse of time where you had that client be like, hey, we should do a YouTube channel till the point where you were like focusing on YouTube, that I didn't know. So that's such a cool thing that it basically came to you and fell in your lap. I think that's super cool.
Yeah. And I'm telling you guys, like if she hadn't messaged me about that, there's absolutely no way I would have done it because I didn't even watch YouTube. Like at all. Like she would tell me like, hey, we're going to talk about this week because it's trending because of Jeffree Star. And I'm like, who's Jeffree Star? Like I didn't know who Tati was. I did not exist in the YouTube system. I did not watch it at all. So it was, it just would have never happened if it wasn't for her.
Yeah. I mean, and it was perfect because you had some time to do it. And so it was the perfect opportunity. And it was such a low friction way for you to get started because she said she'll do everything, like all the annoying stuff that most people have to deal with in the beginning. It allowed you to just like start practicing and like get hooked. And then after that, you were like, well, I already know how to do the rest of it. So I just have to learn a few other things rather than being overwhelmed with all the other stuff that you have to do at the beginning.
Yeah. And before you start, like you don't even know like the keywords and trending topic. Like you don't know any of that. You're not a marketer. So it's super overwhelming because not only do you have to be charismatic on camera and be good at editing, you then have to do all the other stuff. And the other stuff is not easy.
Yeah. Also the expenses too. Like I think what people forget, I mean, obviously it's like an investment once the channel does well and you can monetize all of that. But doing that all up front is major. That is a major expense to do before you start anything. That's why a lot of people start small, of course, and they build it up. But to have someone be like, yeah, here's all your equipment, I would be like, oh my God. Like it feels like this like destiny for you to be in the space.
Yeah. Well put.
Yeah. I know. It's a wild story, right? Sometimes I think back and I'm like, man, I can't believe that even happened.
Yeah, seriously. No, it's so cool. And I know you answer this question a lot, but for our audience, can you explain why your content focuses on makeup and skincare for mature women, a group that's older than you? What's
Yeah.
your favorite thing about focusing on this group? We can do it one by one. So let's do the first question first, because it's like 3 questions in one.
Yeah, I get asked this question all the time. I got asked to speak in a marketing class at the university last week, and the students were like, "It's so weird. Like, you're not your audience. Like, does that bother you?" I get asked that all the time. For one, I'm not that young. Like, I'm almost 38, so I'm not like 20. So I can relate to them, but I'm definitely not 50. This is why. This is really truly the reason why. So in my makeup business, I kind of noticed that a lot of people, like my team even, they wouldn't be like excited to do the makeup for like the grandma of the bride or the mother of the bride. Like, it was kind of like, can I do the bridesmaid who's like 20? There's a lot of ageism, right, in society. And there's a lot of challenges as we age with getting the application, like, right? Because there's very subtle techniques that will change or help things, but there's also more lines, there's more creasing, there's more issues with blendability, there's more dry skin. Like, it's a harder client, okay? But the thing with that age is that as we get older as women, it's insane to me how like our worth in society goes down. It's like we're getting more knowledge, more experience, more poise, but our worth is going down. And I just like, that to me makes absolutely no sense. You know, like, you never look at a man and say like, oh, he's really good looking for his age. Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I hate that so much. So I would always take these women, and I loved having them as clients because no one gives them attention. And I had a client tell me before, you know, after 50, you become invisible. No one looks at you when you walk into a room anymore. No one flirts with you at the grocery store anymore. You literally kind of lose your like sexiness or attraction. And that to me is so sad because we're just getting better. So I don't understand why there's this disconnect in that. So when I would spend these time with these women and they would tell me like the best stories because they have so much life experience, and I would do their makeup and I learned all these tricks with them because I became like fascinated by this. And I would turn the mirror to them. They were like flabbergasted, like absolutely shocked, because no one has taught them how to do their makeup so that they feel good. And no one gives them the time of day. You know, it's like, oh, rush through the mother so we can spend an hour on the 20-year-old bridesmaid. And that to me is so crazy. So I did a video about tips on how to, like, you know, when you turn 50, your makeup's going to have to change because your skin changes, your everything changes. So I said, you know, you were doing it this way before because of these reasons, but instead of doing it this way, do it this way. And I showed it on the same person who's in her 50s. Like, you're doing it this way and this is how she looks. But if you do it this way, this is how she looks. And it was like back and forth. You know, foundation, liner, lipstick, back and forth. This is how you're doing it. This is how you should. And so that video went super viral. And because of the virality of that video, I got an enormous audience in that age demographic. And then I completely fell in love with making content for them. So it was kind of like an accidental shift. But now I'm so thankful that I have this audience because they're so supportive. They love the content. You know, they're the best, and they leave the best comments. Like, it's great.
It's probably super rewarding too, because I think you're giving people their confidence and their life back in a way. I think a lot of women, I see it all the time. I mean, I'm in my later 20s, and now people are starting to say, oh, your 20s aren't,
there you go. Sorry.
No, all good. I was like, oh no.
My camera overheats at 30 minutes. I'm so sorry. And then I just have to click it again.
Don't worry. My camera has a host of issues. Mo can tell you, believe me. But I think it is so beautiful because, I don't know, people are starting to say, which I think it's cool. They're starting to move away from saying like your 20s are your peak to your 30s are your peak because you have knowledge and experience. I would love for in 20 years, people are like, yeah, your 40s and your 50s and your 60s are your peak, because a lot of people do feel that way and they feel super confident in their life experience. But also a lot of women are told to not feel confident. I mean, people people talk about the end of your 20s as a death sentence. And as you get older and older, I mean, people are like, oh, I look like this. Oh, I look like that. Of course, it's like magazine, society sort of thing. But I think it's really beautiful that you are that person for those people to give them back that confidence. And when I see the difference in the videos, I'm like, wow, she does look like she's brighter, she's shining. It feels like all of her natural features are enhanced. It's not like you're covering these things up. It's not like you're doing any sort of surgical modifications. It's really just enhancing what's there.
Totally. And like, you have to think about things with generations, right? Like, I'm in my late 30s. My parents are in their 60s. You know, my kids are starting to get a little bit more independent. Like, everything has these generations. And like, the women that I'm speaking to, a lot of these women some of their parents have cancer. They're caretaking for their parents. They've lost their parents. Some of them have lost their siblings. They're going through so much stuff. Like, life gets hard, you know, as you get older. And then you also get ignored. It's like, I just cannot. So if you can spend 15 minutes, if you can watch me learn a little trick, you know, spend 15 minutes putting on something that's going to make you feel a little better. So then you can go help your mom or go, you know, support or take care of someone. Like, that really matters. You know, it matters a lot to these people. It makes such a difference.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And to just feel good in the world, to feel like, I don't know, they can feel beautiful, they can feel confident, because there are, like you said, so many things that happen as you get older. There's loss, there's grief, there's work changes, family changes, all of those things. So if you can navigate the world in a more confident body and face, I mean, that's huge. It's not like you're, like you said, it's not like you're covering it up, really.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to know, what's your favorite thing about focusing on this age group?
Yeah, I think that my favorite thing is knowing that I'm actually making an impact on them. You know, I get so many emails even from them just saying like, you know, it's so superficial because it's just makeup, but it's really impacting how they feel about themselves, and even like giving themselves the time. You know, as a mother, you spend all your time taking care of someone. And once you've done that for 30 years, you stop knowing how to take care of yourself, because anything you do for yourself then becomes selfish. It feels selfish, right? And there's these emails that I get from women being like, it's the first time in 20 years that I'm having fun doing my makeup again. Or it's the first time in 30 years that I bought myself something that's just for me, you know, not for my daughter. And I'm like, hell's yeah, it is. You know, I just love that. That's the best part.
That is so cool. And what do you think you've learned, maybe as a creator, as a mother, a woman, from these women that are older than you?
Yeah, I think as I got older, like a little bit older, especially like leaving like the mid 30s, right? Like when you hit 35, I was so terrified to get older. Like for real, like I felt like Botox, filler. Like, I'm not saying I don't do Botox now. I definitely do, but I have this fear, like it's the end of my career. Like, no one wants an older makeup artist. They want the hot new thing that knows all the new techniques. And, you know, I felt almost like as a makeup artist, the older you get, the less work you get, whereas like it's kind of opposite in other industries, right? The more experience you get, the better. In makeup, it's about being trendy. And I was afraid that I'd become like obsolete or like not relevant anymore. And I just kind of learned through this audience, like there's so much more to life. I do a lot of call to action. So I'll say like, you guys in this video, I want you to tell me your absolute favorite thing about getting older, like go. And I'll get like 1,000 comments of like, the best thing about getting older is, you know, and you read these and you're like, yeah, like getting older is such a gift. It's a privilege, you know? Yeah. And so I'm not afraid anymore to be changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. No, that's amazing. I'm like, can't wait for that too, as well, you know?
Yeah. Like even little things, like I have quite a few lines around my eyes now. And I think I look at them in the mirror, and before I'd be like, oh, like maybe I wonder if I can get like filler. And now I'm like, look at like, it's from like laughing with my kids so much. Like it becomes like a roadmap of like joy. Whereas before it was like shameful. You know what I mean? It's not shameful.
It is a
great.
privilege. It is a privilege to grow older. I think that's so true. We take it for granted for sure.
Yeah. You want those lines, especially the ones from Joy.
Yeah, 100%. The laugh lines, all of it. Yeah. No, that's beautiful. I love that.
I also imagine that because you spend more time with older women than most other people your age, that you've gotten like wiser and a more like broader worldview because of that.
Yeah, totally. Like they have a lot of depth. I started a new series on the channel called The Makeup Takeover, where my subscribers like submit an application. And if we choose them, I go over to their house and we vlog the whole thing. It's like a little reality show. I see everything they're using. I hear their life story. I let them talk about what's been going on. And then I take them shopping for things. I'm like, this isn't working anymore. This was working 10 years ago. We're going to ditch that. We do like a rehaul. And then we go shopping. And then in the second episode, they come in and we use all the makeup that I bought for them. And I show them a new way, a different way. And these videos are so much work, but so much of the time is spent like on their couch listening to what their stories are, And like these women have like amazing stories if you just let them talk. So
it must be so fun too.
It's so fun. And they're so cute. Like, they're so excited. Yeah. They're like the best,
That's so sweet. I love that.
So that's one of the formats that you have. And another one is just like basic product reviews. And I'm curious what you think about when you review these products. And if someone wanted to start a channel in your niche reviewing products, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, so this is a good question. This is the thing. YouTube has really evolved. It's so different than it used to be. And reviewing products, I think, worked in old YouTube land. But I think to build an audience reviewing products now is very tough. Like people have seen it, they're over it. I have something called a video bucket system where I have like different video buckets. And then I just create like from bucket 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I start again, bucket 1, 2, 3. So one of my buckets is I tried X, so you don't have to, or maybe you do. And so like I tried the Shark Flex styler, so maybe you don't have to. Or so that you don't have to, or I tried the mermaid waver so that you don't have to. This is one of my worst performing buckets. And I think the reason that it's one of the worst performing is because people, they want more out of YouTube now. They've seen it, they're over it. It's not exciting. I think you need to create content that's a little bit more exciting now to get the click.
Interesting. You would think they would still be super popular, like things like the Dyson I saw you review. Like people want honest reviews as well. They don't want an influencer just being like paid promotion, I
know. I think that you'll get like 30,000 views or 40,000 views, but it's very unlikely you'll get like 2 million views. So I guess it's like where your goals are and how big you want the thing to be. I think if you want to like get a lot of views, it needs to be like bigger. Like it needs to be like, I tried every Dyson hair product. It needs to be like more than just one product. That's what Hope Scope does really well. Like she does like extreme reviews. Like I bought every American Girl doll on the market. Instead of like, I'm reviewing one American Girl doll. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it needs to be almost unattainable for the other person on the other side. That's what's going to make them click it.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. We talked to someone like a gamer channel and it was like, if the title is not super exciting, like if you can't summarize the title in like a few sentences and the title is not like super exciting, then don't make the video. It's sort of similar.
100%. If I can't conceptualize a great title and thumbnail, like a title that's going to make sense really quickly in a simple way, I won't make the video because it won't perform. And then it's like, what's the point of spending all that time?
You mentioned that that's one of the buckets is like, I tried X, so you don't have to. I'm curious, can you take us behind the scenes and walk us through the other buckets and how you think about them?
Yeah. So when women get older, their hair tends to get thinner and finer because of the hormone level changes. So I have a bucket called Women with Thin Fine Hair Love X, and I can see why. I've done this video like 1,000 times. Women with thin fine hair love this haircut, and I can see why. Women with thin fine hair love this hairstyle, and I can see why. Women with thin fine hair love this hair product, and I can see why. Every single one of those videos gets like hundreds of thousands of views. And the cool thing with buckets is that once you have the exact same title, switching out an X factor, YouTube recognizes it as long as the audience is giving feedback that it's satisfying them, right? Comments, likes, shares. YouTube recognizes that they want to go down that rabbit hole. So then on the suggested panel, your videos will all be popping up. So if you do, that's why that bucket system works so well, and why I kind of rotate through buckets, because as soon as one takes off, they all pop off because someone is really into that. And then they're like, oh, I can like watch it this and this and this, and it's all the same. They want to watch it. Right? So that was another one that was really good. Another one that I did is 5 tips to look younger after 50, 5 tips to look younger after 50, 5 tips to look younger after 60, 5 tips to look younger after 70. That's another bucket. Yeah, there's like a whole bunch. Yeah, there's like a whole bunch of them.
I love the one that's like something about whatever it is, like thinning hair, whatever you lead it up, or this hairstyle or everything. Cause it's like, you have an audience that you're targeting, plus you have that, it's like a really nice formula. I think the second part is, and I can see why, because that's sort of the hook into like, oh, and I tried it and I know why, and you don't know why, but I'm going to tell you why. It is super smart that you plan it out in that way. It's really like a math formula. It's cool.
There's another thing that works really well with titles that you guys might like to hear. It's like, if you're doing a listicle, like these are the top beauty devices of 2024. And then in parentheses, put number 4 is going to blow your mind, or number 2 is, people are like, what's number 2? And that will get them to click. So I use that a lot too. Yeah. Like 5 tips for looking younger. It's like number 3 is insane. People are like, what's number 3? So they might
I need to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the higher the number is, the further they'll click in.
Exactly.
Too.
Yeah. Like don't gift it to them. Another thing, when you're doing that, don't do chapters. Because if you do chapters, you'll see them scrub to the section. So leave the chapter bit. Yeah. So then you're increasing your AVD because they're watching it to get to that section. They're not able to skip it.
Wow, this is super practical advice.
I know. I'm like, hot tips with Gabi. Let's go. I love it.
Yeah, I'm kind of chapters.
No, you have to be. You really do have to be. I think with even video creation, like you said, the buckets, you have to be strategic, especially when you want to grow the channel. What do you think makes a good tutorial?
Okay. In today's day and age, I think it has to be very fast moving. It cannot be slow. It has to be slow enough that the person can follow, but not so slow that you're like dying of boredom. Like you really have to like get really snappy, because we're competing with so much short form content now. I just did a blow dry tutorial using a blow dryer brush. That video did super well. I think it has almost 1 million views now. And I think the reason it performed well is because it's like, it was very fast moving, but still like clear. Something else I think that really works with tutorials is knowing what your audience is doing wrong and showing them how it's wrong. Like I'll show them like, you guys are doing this, and like, see, this is what's happening. Is that what's happening? That's what's happening with you, isn't it? And like really talking to that person, like don't group them as people. Like I'll say, I bet I know what you're doing wrong with your hair, and I think it's this. Like I say, like I know that you're doing, and then they feel super connected to you because it's like you're hanging out with them. You're not grouping them as a group of people. So I'll show them the mistake they're making. I'll show them how it looks on my hair or my face or whatever. And then I'll show them how to not make that mistake and to solve the problem. So you need to like foresee their problems and give them the solution, but you need to do it like fast so that they don't get bored. Yeah.
That's incredibly smart. I feel like I have a blow dryer brush. I'm so lazy when it comes to doing my hair. And it's like, why is this thing not working? So you're like, okay, I'm going to find an expert. And if someone's like, this is how you do it, it might sound silly, but watching that video, you may still not execute it right. So if you're seeing someone do it one way and then they're like, and this is the actual way you need to do it, it's like, okay, I'm confirmed in like the correct way to do it. Because, you know, like I think about doing a French braid. I can't do a French braid to save my life. But it's like, if someone's like, this is what you're trying to do, and this is how you can, this is a hack to do it better. We're always looking for like hacks. There's so many people who are like, here's how to plan out your life. But who is the like one person that's like, and here's a hack that's really worked for me? It feels more special and it feels more intentional, which I love that you're doing that. That's so cool.
And relatable too. Like I have wavy hair that dries like a puffball. Like I literally look like a chia pet. And so instead of coming on and trying to be perfect all the time, like some perfect Barbie doll that's super fake, like no one wants that. Like I come on all the time where I'm like, guys, look at my hair. Like this is how my hair air dries. And then I'll get comments, that's not how your hair air dries. You backcombed it. So then in another video, I'll pop up that comment and be like, my hair air dries so ugly that you think I backcombed it. You know, like be like relatable.
Like, I'm listening.
And be like, yeah. And it's like, trust me, if I can get it to look like this and I air dry like that, you can get it to look like this. Like, let's go. And then we get right into it.
I love that. I really like that.
I love that you come at things from like a problem perspective, and then you're actually able to incorporate that sometimes into the packaging of the video itself. Like the women with thin, fine hair love this X. Like that could be applied to any niche, right? Like this group of people with this problem love or hate this other thing. Or maybe like this group of people is air drying their hair wrong or something. And then you could make a video about that.
Totally. It's all about like marketing. I had another video blow up and I titled it, I'm not using my hair straightener anymore and you shouldn't either. And then I talked about another tool that was really cool for straightening your hair. But if I just said like, Dyson Air Straight review, no one's going to click on that. It's like Snorefest. But then you see that package, like she's not using her hair straightener. And then there's a picture of me with like perfectly smooth hair. It entices like curiosity. You need to get people like their brains have to start like getting curious so that they'll click on the damn thing.
Yeah.
Especially when we're in a sea of other thumbnails,
Yeah. And it's also like if the thing isn't working for them and you're offering a solution that's different than what they tried, that's going to, it's curiosity, but it's also like, oh, solution in sight. Great. That's what I needed. It's not like how to straighten my hair right. It's like, oh, I got the solution. Yeah. That's super smart.
That's what I always say, like to newer content creators, like really think outside the box, really take the time to conceptualize the video before filming the video.
Yeah.
Because if you really want to grow fast, you have to be different. You have to be bigger, just different,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you've started doing live streams recently, and according to your channel, you started 3 months ago. First of all, I just want to confirm that. Have you done live streams before that you've maybe unlisted or like on a different channel, or was it actually just 3 months ago that you started?
I had never done a live stream in my entire life. I was absolutely terrified by them. And every time anyone would suggest that I do them, I would get very defensive and like borderline angry.
It is hard. It's so hard.
Yeah. I felt like my content, I like to think, right? Like I have this academic background and I like to conceptualize and be ready. And like when things don't work out, I can like cheat it in the editing. And I felt very exposed on live streams. It made me unbelievably uncomfortable. And then I thought, you know what? To build more, this community is so amazing that to build a bigger sense of like friendship and camaraderie, I need to start this series. And it's been like the best thing. It's like one of my favorite things to do now.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Tell us more about like what prompted you to start doing it. And then like, what was the opportunity or potential you saw in that as a medium compared to just like regular videos? Because you mentioned you already had, like you were starting to see your community like talking to each other and like already having a supportive, warm, loving community. Why take it? Like what got you over the hump to start doing live streaming? What was the opportunity you saw?
Yeah. So for one, I'm all about like creating a community within like the creator ecosystem. So I started becoming really good friends with other creators just by reaching out, doing collabs, messaging them and saying, or really engaging in their comment section and adding more conversation to their content. So I became friends with so many different creators and we were doing a lot of collabs where they were pre-recorded collabs. I did some collabs even where I flew to the States and I worked with creators, but those are incredibly labor intensive, and I started thinking, maybe we could do it in a way where I'm bringing other creators' voices and opinions to the conversation, but not spending 3 months editing this like insane video that, cost me 20 grand because literally that's how much it cost me to do this crazy collab I did last year. And the video didn't even perform well and it was devastating. So I thought like, how can I create this funnel amongst all my friends? Because if I can get their audience to me and I can get my audience to them, it's way easier to grow when you're not growing in a vacuum, you know? And so I started seeing like who my audience was watching and reaching out to those creators and being like, my audience already loves you, right? Like, I know my audience loves you by this data point. And like, they'll be so excited if you come on. Do you want to come on? And so of course they do, because they can promote their channels and also promote their products. A lot of beauty creators have product lines. And so that's how we started it. And it's been so successful. Like I can't believe how, I mean, those videos do better than some of my pre-recorded content, and it's 100,000 times less work.
Yeah. Seriously.
Yeah.
And so when you do the research to figure out like who your audience is watching, are you just going into YouTube Studio and then looking in the back end of like people in your audience are also watching these videos?
Exactly. So the way that I do it is I go into the backend analytics and I see who they're watching. And then before like bombarding them with emails, I'll start like watching them too, to see one, if they're a good fit. And two, I want to create like a conversation in their comments stream and be a supportive audience member as well. So I'll start like, watching a ton of their content all the time, engaging and commenting. And when you're a bigger creator, you kind of get a notification that another, like a bigger creator commented. So they already had like my name in their radar. And so we kind of became friends in the comments section. Like Justin Hickox is one creator that I do a lot of collabs with. And then after you've established that, then you can reach out and say like, hey, listen, this is a live stream series I'm doing. I think you would be amazing. I know that my audience watches you. You can see that in this screenshot. Like I send them data. Right. And then I'll say sometimes like, I realize that you just launched a new brush line. I would really love it if you'd come on my live stream and we can promote it. So you got to give them like an incentive to want to come on the live stream, and it's worked. It is genuine. I say that it sounds like I'm being like sneaky about it, but it really is like a genuine relationship building. I just think sometimes if you like want something from someone, you need to like show them that you're giving them value back. That's not about you. If they're going to help you grow, you better help them grow too. So I think approaching it that way, there's a bigger likelihood that they'll say yes.
Yeah, I love the way you approach that. I mean, it's like being a human, right? You kind of build rapport with them before you actually ask them for something. And the fact that you took the time to watch their videos and engage with their content shows that you're not just like firing off cold emails to like every random creator that's not tailored or anything like that.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Because, right. You need to be like authentic and like, you shouldn't want something from someone because it's going to make you look better. Like we're all in this together. Like I always say like, don't build in a vacuum, like create those friendships, because it's not a competition on YouTube. There is more than enough space for everyone to coexist. But if you can coexist together, everyone goes up faster. It really does make a big difference.
Yeah. I think also your viewers could definitely see if something's not a genuine relationship. Like if you do work to like be in someone's comment section, develop a rapport, email them, really have a discussion, like really engage with their content. I think there's going to be a huge difference in the video. I mean, for one, if you don't do any of that work, it's sort of like, oh, I have this person here. You can tell that there isn't really a relationship established. Meanwhile, if you like bring someone on, you can tell they have a friendship. Not only is it exciting for the viewer because they're like, two of my favorite people are collabing, but you can actually believe it more. And then I think it does establish trust as a creator as well.
100%. And even taking it like one step further from that, when you're a creator, it's kind of like a lonely life. Like you are alone all the time and no one understands what you do. Like your neighbor's like, you do what? Like it's just no one that's not living in this space like gets
Except
it.
Your neighbor who gave you Wi-Fi today. He's the real one. I love that.
He's a solid neighbor. But sometimes I'll get like right now we're doing a bunch of like multi-language translations and dubbing. We're hitting like more of an international market. And I'll call Justin and be like, yo, man, like check out this dub and be like, check out this analytic. Like you can nerd out with your creator.
Yeah.
And I'll be like,
you can totally make friends.
Justin.
That's so funny. I love that. That's like how people engage at events too. Like you can see that like people are around the right people for them, like you're nerding out about the same thing. No, that's so cool.
Totally. It's so good. It's so good. And live stream like started that, but it kind of extends in every part of the business, which is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's super smart. What do you think are the must-have tools for beauty content creators? So you can say software, lighting. I know, like you were saying before, I mean, makeup is super different for camera than it is just in person. So what do you think is important for creators to have in their setup?
Yeah, 100% lighting is everything and not natural light. Everyone wants natural light. Natural light's there's too much variation, even amongst the clips, like from when you start filming to when you stop filming, there's too much flow. And then when you start cutting, you can tell, because you might like blab on, especially me, I'll like blab on about something and I'll be like, oh, this is so boring. I'll cut that whole section out. But there's like 10 minutes there where the lighting changed. And when you cut from you can see it. It's like, so I use like a really big, I wish I could, my camera's there. Otherwise I would like show you softbox. It's humongous. It's literally like 8 times the size of my face. And so that is really, really important. Something else that's really important for beauty specifically really is having a good camera. Like you really do need to show the details. So you can start on your phone, definitely start using 4K if you're filming on your phone. But as soon as you can get like a good quality camera, it definitely makes a big difference in how the makeup reads. Something else I absolutely couldn't live without is a monitor. I need to see what the makeup's looking like in a big way so that I can adjust, because when I look in the mirror, it's so different than how it reads on camera. So you have to do it for the camera, not like for the mirror.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Just like making it maybe bigger, brighter, seeing how it reads. Yeah, seeing the detail on the monitor. Like, you're probably going to get some people viewing on their phone, but it's easier to make it look good on the monitor, and then the scale down will be better rather than the opposite,
Totally. And I've made that mistake where I would do the makeup, especially like on a model. And I looked at her and she's feeling herself, and I'm feeling her and I'm like, oh my God, you look amazing. And then I go to edit. I'm like, oh, her eyebrows are off. And they weren't off in real life, but it's almost like the tilt of the camera will make something look asymmetrical. Even just the angle of the camera will change whether something looks symmetrical, and it's infuriating. It's like actually infuriating. So yeah, you need a monitor. You need a monitor so that you don't like hate yourself later when you're editing it.
I didn't even think of the angle of the camera. I always think like lighting and all of that. That's so interesting, but it's so true. Not to totally switch gears, but to switch gears, can you talk about your experience moving into monetization on your channel?
Yeah. Monetization's my thing. I'm really good at that.
I remember you talking about it at Vid Summit. So yeah, I mean, I would love to hear about it for sure.
Yeah. So we do really well in AdSense revenue. And it's because we have a really high RPM, and it's because we have the perfect demographic, women 40 plus, that are US based. It's like the perfect converting to sales demographic. So the AdSense revenue is quite lucrative. And then we do brand deals. And so our brand deals, we structure them in 1, 2, or 3 minute integrations. I will never do a fully sponsored video anymore. It will absolutely destroy your channel. It's like making an infomercial and nobody wants to watch that.
Yeah.
So we integrate and weave our brand deals into the videos. So if I'm doing a makeup tutorial, for example, when I'm doing the skin, I'll use the City Beauty products, which are products that I really love. And so I'll talk about them either for 1, 2, or 3 minutes, depending on how much money they're paying for that spot.
Yeah.
Okay. That's another really lucrative amount of money. We do 2 to 3 brand deals a month. I try to make at least half my videos completely non-brand deal related. And then half of them, we need brand deals to fund and pay for the staff and pay for everyone. Another really big tip with that is when you're doing your brand deals, you want to book them out far in advance. So we don't book out one brand deal. We'll book out like a package of 6. So we'll do a brand deal every 2 months for you, a 2-minute integration for this rate. So the individual rate per brand deal is higher than a package, but you're guaranteed a long term of income. So I know how much money I'm going to make for the next 8 months because all those brand deals are already set.
Yeah.
So we have that base of income. So that's one thing. Another thing that's massive in the beauty community that people really undermine is affiliate. Affiliate is enormous. You can make I'm not kidding. You can make $50,000 a month on affiliate sales alone.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like there's different you can do affiliates through the company. So like City Beauty will pay me my brand deal rate, and then they'll also pay me an affiliate commission based on sales. And so that's like a separate portal that gets sent over to my PayPal. But there's also these websites that you can sign up for. One is called ShopMy. And so on ShopMy, if you get in as an influencer, you can create links for pretty much any product. Like all of the websites are associated with it. So even when I'm wearing something, if I've just bought it and it's for sale, I'll link it through ShopMy. So every single link in the description box is an affiliate link. And because I have such a high converting audience, like my audience has money and they want to spend it. They'll buy a lot of things in that description box. So that's another big monetization strategy. Another one is memberships, channel memberships. I have a memberships program. It's not a lot. It's $5 a month, but when you have a lot of people in it, it does that. And that's completely passive income. You can make it as complicated as you want. I didn't make mine complicated at all. All they get is they get custom emojis and badges. Sometimes I'll release a video early for them, like a few days early, and I'll priority respond to their comments. So I'll check when my channel members commented every single morning. It's a part of my workday. I'll reply to all of them. So if they have like very tailored questions for their specific needs, I'll make sure to take the time to help them. Yeah. And then there's the merch line. The merch line is another monetization point.
That's super smart. I think it's a really great point to mention, like the age range that is your demographic, like your viewing audience does have money and they're willing to spend it. It's different than like the current, I guess, like TikTok viewers that are like young people and maybe they're willing to spend on some cheaper things, but not on more expensive things. I think these are women who are like, I want to put money that I have into something that will make me feel good. It is worth it. It is something for me. I have the money to fund that.
Yeah, actually. And even before, like sometimes I'll launch a video, and if I'm really like flooded in work, I'll make it go live, and then I'll work on the description like as fast as I can for links. Mm-hmm. And I'll get angry comments like, where are the links? Like they want the links. Like I will literally get like enraged comments if my links are like late.
Well, that's how you know you're doing stuff well. I mean, there are certain creators I follow and I'm like, I want to know every single piece of clothing that they buy. And when you have a devoted audience, it makes sense that they're coming after you, unfortunately, but fortunately like that. Yeah. Wow.
And the thing with affiliate too, almost always you can get them a discount code. So they're really incentivized to buy it because they're like, oh, that's the lip liner I've wanted forever. And she's got 20% off. So it's kind of like a win-win for everyone, you know?
Yeah. Mutual benefit for sure.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that like you would never step back into sort of infomercial territory. And I was watching a live stream on Daniel Batal's channel where you spoke about brand deals. And one of the ideas you came back to over and over again is this idea of like focusing on the health of your channel.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is related to the infomercial point you just made. And so could you tell us what that means? Like, what is the health of your channel and like, how do you cultivate it? What takes away from it?
Yeah, you did your research, Mo. Yeah, I love Daniel so much. He's a very good friend of mine. Yeah, so it's very important. I mean, the most important thing that your audience knows that you're genuine, that they feel that you're genuine, and that they come back over and over again. There's an analytic in the back end where you can see if you're getting new viewers or returning viewers. I used to think that you always want your new viewer graph to be higher than your returning viewers so that you're growing. But it's actually the exact opposite. You want your returning viewers to be higher than your new viewers. You want them to be committed and dedicated and watching you and being a part of your community much more than you want new viewers. So in order to not like piss off the returning viewers, you need to make sure that you're not just like jamming ads down their neck because it's a big turnoff. Another thing is that when you're doing a brand deal, and like every creator has to do them, it's literally a part of the business. I mean, you don't have to, but if you're financially smart, you probably will. You cannot sell your soul to the devil. Like if you try a product and they're like, I'm going to give you 20 grand to talk about it for 2 minutes. And you're like, 20 grand, like that's a lot of money, in like normal life, not necessarily YouTube life, but normal life. Like that's a ton of money to talk about something for 2 minutes. If that product sucks, you have to say no. Like there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you endorse something that sucks and your audience believes you and they buy it, they're gone. Like, you will never get them again. You will never regain their trust. It's the most important thing, because when you lose your audience, you lose your whole entire business. Like, you are nothing on YouTube without your audience. So that's what I mean by like the health of the channel. You have to nurture that thing like it's your baby.
It's so true as a viewer too, because I can point to a literal example of like this woman I followed for probably over 5 years. And she's like, I reject like 90% of the brand deals that come my way because I'll like arduously test these things and see if I like them. And that, just hearing that and her being so particular about things has made me trust her more. And I think when creators do prioritize that, it's like they're not using 3 different skincare products like, oh, I always wash my face with this on Monday. And then the next Friday, they're like, yeah, and I've always washed my face with this thing. It's like, absolutely, you lose the trust. But when you know that person's like, I've tried this, I really stand by it. I'm not in it for the money. Like, I'm not just going to go right in when I get money offered to me. As a viewer, I immediately trust them 100% more.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it has to be a win-win for the 3 people involved. For the brands, because they're getting their name out there and they're getting sales. For the creator, because they're able to fund their channel. And for the viewer, because they learned about something that's awesome that maybe they wouldn't learn about, and they got like a discount code maybe. If any of these people aren't winning, then you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Like, don't do it, because it will just ruin your channel. Like, we all follow those Instagrammers where every single reel is an ad, and it's just, it's annoying,
So annoying. It's so annoying. And you can have like 30 different types of suitcases or like 8 million types of blush and be like, yeah, I use this 3 times a week. Like, nobody will believe you. It's true.
Yeah, it's about authenticity through and through. And that theme comes up a lot, like even in this conversation. Authenticity when you're asking other creators to be on your live stream. Like, you need to be authentic with the request. Authenticity when you're presenting to your audience. Authenticity with the brands that you're working. Like, you should be authentic in your life, but on YouTube, like, not being authentic will get you canceled eventually.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm thinking about the packaging for this interview, and I feel like it's going to be something like, this YouTuber decided not to sell out.
I love that. Amazing.
I love that too.
Amazing. No, it's so important.
I'm curious, like, if we talk about the ideation process for your content a little bit, like, how do you come up with ideas for your videos? And we could also talk about like for live streams and for shorts separately, but let's start with videos.
Yeah. So what I always do is, there's a few different things that I do. For one, I've created an account on YouTube where I am my audience. So I'm not me, I'm Francine, my 70-year-old audience. And I log into that YouTube channel and I'll only engage with videos and watch videos that Francine would watch and engage with. So then I start seeing what's popping up for me in home and in suggested. Okay. So I can start looking at what's happening in the ecosystem of YouTube at this exact time. And oftentimes there will be trends that will pop up for that demographic that I wouldn't have seen because I'm not that demographic. And so I'll hop on that trend. So one will be like, I do trend forecasting. So I just see what's going on. I'll often also use a website called trendingtopics.com. And so say slugging is trending, for example, in that age demographic. I'll then go on trendingtopics.com and type slugging and I'll see where it is. Is it at the bottom, moving up? Is it here and it's coming down? If it's here and it's coming down, I'm like, I shouldn't make that video. There's so much other content made and the trend's kind of dying. But if it's coming up, I'll try to catch the wave. I'm like on my surfboard trying to like catch that wave before the other creators get a hold of it. So that's one way that I do it. Another thing that I'll do is I'll look at my 24-hour analytics or 48-hour analytics, and I'll see like what videos are popping up right now. And I'll try to understand why. Often it's like a thematic thing, like something with fine, thin hair will be popping up. And that will tell me, okay, all these people, 1 million people right now are watching videos on fine, thin hair. I got to make another video this week to serve to them because that's what they want to see. That's what they're watching. So I'll trigger them that way. Yeah. And then the third is also like, I talk up to one of my employees about this too. Like, I also sometimes just make videos that like will feed my soul, that like I just really want to make. And sometimes I'm like, I know this video won't do that great, but like that's going to like fill up my like creator cup. So I'll make that video. I kind of bounce between the three.
That makes sense. And it seems like it's pretty similar with the shorts, and a lot of them are similar topics to your longer form videos, and they actually link to those related videos.
Yeah, I link all my shorts, most of my shorts, to my long form. So sometimes what we do is we'll make a long form video and I'll see where the audience is replaying a spot. So there was something in that video that's like super interesting, whether that's like curling the front pieces or like troubleshooting something. And then I'll make a short from that section because I know that they liked that. And then I'll link that short to the long form.
Got it. And then for live streams, you sort of explained it earlier, but you're basically looking at people who your audience is also watching, right?
Yeah, live stream is all about, connecting creators. I've never done a live stream by myself. I always do it as like a conversation with another creator, and we do like audience Q&A. So it's super fun.
Okay. I love how rigorous you are about everything. Like for every like question we've asked, you have like some sort of method or something that just like blows my mind. Like the idea of creating a YouTube account for the user persona that you're sort of targeting, and then like trying to understand their psychology by looking at their algorithm. That is so wildly cool that I've never thought about that.
It's so smart. It's so smart.
Yeah, because you have to know what they're seeing so you can stand out. So I'll scan their homepage. I call her Francine. That's her name.
I was going to say, I love Francine.
Francine's the best. She's so positive. I'll scan Francine's homepage and I'll almost like glaze my eyes through it and like scroll. And then I'll be like, that one. And then I start to think like, why did that one catch my eye out of all the other ones? What thematically did that? And I won't recreate or copy, but I can use like elements of that to then create something that will also stand out in that sea of content. And because I know what the sea of content is, I know what to make it stand out.
Yeah. I think this is why when you were speaking at Vid Summit, I felt so drawn to you because you just felt like it was like we had an interview with someone recently and it was like we asked them a question and it was like the most prepared yet so natural answer ever. And it's similar with you where you're like, yeah, so this is what you do. This is what I do. And boom, 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 boom. Like, you've thought about it. And it's the same thing, the trust factor again. I'm like, yeah, I completely trust what she's saying because she's thought about it. She's done it and it's tested and approved, like I really do feel drawn to your content in that way because you're like, yeah, so I have like 3 tips that are actionable and have been proven. And I think like as a viewer, as someone who consumes content, that's so important to foster that in your content.
Oh, thank you so much. That really means a lot to me. No, I try my best, but we're all just throwing spaghetti at the wall at the end of the day. Like,
I know. Seriously, especially like you said, because like being a creator can be such a solitary existence. I mean, you can have a team, you can have a huge audience, you can have a lot of collaborations, but it is at the end of the day, it's you and Francine. I mean, seriously, like you're doing your thing together, but it's really it can be super isolating. We're moving towards the end, but I have one more long form question before we go into the end. I loved your video that you made a few months ago called The Truth About Me, where you talk about your struggles with anxiety and anticipatory grief. I really related to it as well. What has your experience been like sharing yourself in such a vulnerable way? You also talked about hair loss on your channel. I know your audience is older and they can relate to a lot of those topics. What was their response to it? And how did you feel sharing those topics?
Yeah, that's a tricky one. I was having a really hard time last year because my grandparents passed away and it was a pretty tragic thing. And I honest to God, I didn't want to make that video at all. And someone told me like, you should make a video about that. And just kind of, cause so many people are going through that. And I was like, no, like this is the thing, right? Like we're all so similar, as human beings, and we all go through so many different things together. And I think trying to pretend that you're perfect is not relatable or like effective. And so kind of I make those videos once in a while where it's like kind of a catch up and I just talk about it because I really want people to think like, I'm just a very normal person. Like I live in the suburbs of Canada. I have 2 kids. I make content in my basement, and if I can do it, if I can make this woman who's 70 feel better and look great, there's absolutely no reason why you can't do it. It's not like I'm like a magical unicorn. Like I am exactly the same as you. I have terrible anxiety. I'm a little crazy sometimes, and I've had family members die and I cried for 3 months. Like I'm very normal. And I think that sprinkling in that type of content just shows the audience that like they can also attain these things and they can also do these things because I am the audience. I am you, So it's not the easiest thing to do. Like it kind of feels like you're like, naked on the internet.
So
but I think it's important.
Yeah. Seriously. Just like ripping your heart open or that too. Yeah. Literally. I mean, I think it's so funny. I think it's the videos you want to make the least where you are the most honest that people want to see the most. It's like your desire to make the video, people's desire to see the video.
And because like how like refreshing is it when you see someone and you're like, oh my gosh, me too,
Yeah. And you're like, wow, how did they do this? Like, I don't know. I saw that and I had been going through something similarly last year. And I'm like, I don't even know how she made that video. And you're saying here, you're like, that was a video I did not want to make. And it's like, here's one person that watched that and was like, yeah, I relate to that. And like, there is definitely going to be more of me having that same experience,
Yeah, I love watching those videos too. I love like becoming closer. That's how you become closer to someone too. Like even in real life friendships, like if we were all going to go for a drink together, if we're all like sitting proper and like saying the right thing, like we're not going to be very good friends.
Yeah.
If you want a friendship with your audience, you have to like treat them like people that you hang out with. You have to be like yourself.
Yeah. No, it's so true. It's so true. Okay. Yeah. So now we're moving into the end, which is so sad because this has been so fun. Take it away, Mo.
Yeah, we just have a few short questions. The first one is, can you shine the spotlight on another creator? Who else should our audience watch?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. One of my favorite creators right now who's become a pretty good friend of mine. We're actually renting a content house together in April. Oh. We're creating content together is 2. Can I say 2?
Yeah.
Okay. Nikki LaRose is a phenomenal LA-based makeup artist. She is brilliant. And she's also like a wonderful, beautiful, genuine human being. And then Lisa J Makeup. She's the creator of BK Beauty. So she created a brush line, but she's also a phenomenal makeup artist on YouTube. She's got a really big following. Those 2 girls, like they're awesome. And I feel like everyone should go watch them. They're just great.
Awesome.
Online and offline.
Yeah. What is a product or a piece of content, could be a TV show or a podcast or whatever, that you're currently obsessed with and why?
Okay, so I'm obsessed with The Daily. Do you guys listen to that?
I've heard,
the New York Times podcast?
And it's the New York Times. It's like a news podcast. I listen to it every single day. It's like 20 minutes and you get your like fix of global news and it makes you like a better, more educated person. I love that podcast so much.
That's awesome.
Perfect. Yeah. Any final words you want to leave the audience with?
Yeah. If you're a creator, do not give up. Like being a creator isn't about being perfect at everything. It's about being resilient to failure. Okay. Like you have to do it, fail, analyze, revise, improve, and do it again. And it's only when you do that like 500 times that you get better at it. I think we are quick to blame the algorithm and we want success so badly, but success is just a result of being resilient to failing and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, that's great advice.
Well said.
Yeah.
Where can people find you on the internet?
Yeah, you can find me on my YouTube channel, Glamgirl Gabi. I'm also very active now on Instagram, and that's at Glamgirl Gabi. Yeah, I'm on those platforms all the time.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks you guys for having me.
It was such a joy. Thanks so much.
This episode was recorded with StreamYard. If you want to record a remote podcast like this, check out the link in the description to get started.
Thanks for joining us on Inside the Creator Studio. See you next time.